because you cannot tell me you're gonna know what's going on in Twitter, but you don't know what's going on in chemistry, okay? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So believe it or not, but I have actually struggled with a little bit of a social media addiction. And I know I'm not alone, okay? Social media is a really great tool, but for a lot of us, we've kind of started to form an unhealthy dependence on it. I had a number of these social media sites and I've used them very well, but I noticed that it was starting to become addictive. And especially when I was in school, y'all, we couldn't have that, okay? Because you cannot tell me you're gonna know what's going on in Twitter, but you don't know what's going on in chemistry, okay? That was not gonna work. So at some point when I started to feel like it was getting in the way of other things that I should be doing, I had to, kind of reel it in. And I find now that, I'm much older, I'm not in school anymore, but sometimes I still kind of struggle with that bit of running to social media or wanting to just spend hours on social media when I do get on social media. So I've come up with a few tips that I found helpful for myself to not be on social media all day. Before I get into my actual tips, I'm just gonna provide some reasons why I think we all should be mindful of our social media usage. First being that the U.S. Attorney General of the United States, he put out a statement, I think it was a year or two ago, to parents, just guiding them on social media usage for teenagers. And yes, this is for teenagers, but for me, I'm a strong believer that a lot of times the health statements or the kind of like health warnings that are put out for certain groups can probably be applied to everyone. So if there's a concern for the self-esteem issues social media can cause in younger populations, there needs to be concern for the self-esteem issues it causes in older populations as well. When it comes to social media as well, I think for a lot of people, because social media is very passive, at least when you're browsing social media, it's very passive. We don't get a lot of exercise because of it. For some people, you probably are going to end up with like pain in your fingers because you're just scrolling all day. You might end up with pain in other parts of your body. You have poor posture for some people if you're literally just slouched on your couch or just laying in bed all day scrolling. So social media and the excessive use of social media can definitely have some negative impacts. I also feel like for a lot of us, it's very much fake life. It's giving fake life, okay? Like you will think you know somebody and you feel like you know somebody because you see what they're doing on social media, but you have to understand, even if they're live streaming their life 24/7, for the most part, you won't really know the person. And so I feel like social media makes us feel like we know people more than we really do, or it makes us feel like we're closer to people than we really are. I know some people end up meeting their spouses, best friends, and whoever else on social media. Some people reconnect with people on social media, but I still do think there is a level of caution we have to give in realizing that social media is not always reality. There's obviously also the aspect of social media and the pressure that it puts on people, right? It's because of social media that you see certain trends. And, when we think about trends, there's fashion trends, but then there's also like general lifestyle trends. And it's because of social media that you see certain risky trends gaining popularity. So while I wouldn't necessarily tell everyone to get off of social media and never get on social media, I still think it's important to be mindful of what your predisposition is to being addicted to social media. But above that, just making sure that you have some guardrails in place should you start to feel like you're getting addicted. Now, I will say as a believer, for me, I feel that the danger with social media is that for a lot of people, it makes you idle, IDLE, and then it can become an idol, IDOL. For a lot of us, we start to put off things that we actually need to do because we're just scrolling on social media. And then you now find one or two people on social media who are living like the aesthetic life that you want to live, and you feel like, oh, that's my model, or that's what I want to be like. And so you start idolizing people in a way that you really wouldn't if you got to see the whole person. Even at times when people put out the flaws or the things that maybe don't seem so attractive, there sometimes is a reason for it. There is a marketing reason. There's some sort of like, there's some reasoning or some sort of ploy behind it. So you gotta be a little smart about that. Okay, the first thing you really gotta do is you have to understand, are you actually addicted to social media? If you have to use social media because of your job and so you're on it for a lot of time, or maybe you're doing a lot of research because maybe you're trying to start something, that's very much different than you just hopping back and forth between God knows whatever. You have to actually have a real heart-to-heart with yourself and figure out, am I starting to get addicted? Because if you are, then you got to put some of these other things into place. But once you figure out that you actually might have a bit of a social media addiction, what I would recommend is tracking how much time you currently spend on it. On the iPhone, for example, you can see how much time you're spending across different apps. This is helpful because it will give you an idea of how much of your time you're actually spending on social media. I think the danger with social media, especially on like mobile devices, is that for most of us, we're kind of doing it on the go. And so we don't realize how much like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 30 minutes there adds up to create a cumulative amount of time. So being able to track how much time you're spending on it is key. And then with tracking how much time comes limiting the time. Once again, on the iPhone, I know you can limit how much time you spend on certain apps or certain categories of apps. And that's like a built-in function, but then there's also apps available for that reason. So you really want to just be mindful of the time that you're spending on it. The second thing you can also do is to delete the apps. This is something I swear by, y'all. Like when I was in school, trust me, if I started to feel like, I don't know what's going on in class, I would delete all them apps, okay? I still kept my account, but I deleted the apps either until the weekend or until like the end of the semester, just when I felt like I had a little bit more time to actually focus on some other social things. But the important thing about the apps, once again, is that in deleting the apps, you're not deleting your account, but this is also a good way for you to actually make friends with the people that are physically around you, okay? If you have someone that you met on social media that you're so enamored with, either as a friend or as a romantic other, get the person's phone number, okay? Take the conversation outside of social media if you know that you need to delete the app. But deleting the app for me worked very, very well. The third thing you can do is to deactivate your account. So when you're deactivating your account, once again, this also is not deleting necessarily your account. It just is making your account inactive. So you won't be able to really do much until you decide to go back to make it active, and then others can't necessarily find you. Deactivating the account could also be good if you're getting like emails and stuff from whatever the social media platform is and you don't want to get those either. You can always unsubscribe to those emails as well, but deactivating the account should also make it so that people aren't necessarily trying to still contact you while you want to take a step back from social media. And I would just say that whichever of these approaches you do, the key thing that you really want to do is find something to do with your time. There's no point in you taking 2 hours of your day that you used to spend on social media, taking it and then using it to literally just twiddle your thumbs. Like, find something to do with that time. Use that time to actually meet people in real life or spend time with your loved ones in real life. Use that time to learn something. Use that time to watch K-drama. Just find something to do with that time that would be meaningful to you and that would help you feel like it's time well spent. Because I guarantee you, if you do something with that time that does not feel like time well spent, you're gonna go right back to scrolling through Instagram, and we don't want that. Social media is a lot like most things in life. There are pros and there are cons. But being able to use social media well and using it in a way that is positive for your self-esteem, for your mental health, for your physical health, for just you as an overall being is extremely important. So I really want to encourage you guys to get off of social media and go out there and have some fun. Make sure to like this video, share with others, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.